Hi, everybody, and welcome to day one of TwitchCon and the first episode of Guildcast. With Heart of Thorns right around the corner, we're launching a new show to go with the expansion. And starting here with me today are two of our favorite people. Mike?
Hi, I'm Mike Zadorozhny. I'm one of the design leads working on Guild Wars 2.
And hello again, I'm Colin Johansson, Game Director for Guild Wars 2. You might remember me from such streams as Points of Interest, Ready Up, or the Welcome to Twitch stream 3 minutes ago.
Nice. So last month at PAX, we had the awesome announcement that the core game of Guild Wars 2 is play for free now. So I know a lot of you are wondering, is it too late to get in, or what it's all about, how this all works. So we're going to kind of talk about that today. First of all, it's definitely not too late. We are just going to kind of go over some of the things as far as how it's easy to join your friends, how it's easy to get in there. Does one of you guys want to start with our Waypoint system?
Yeah, sure. So, right away from the get-go, the second you log into the game, we're now giving you access to all of the starting zones. So if you make an Asura and your friend makes a Char, it's very easy for you just to waypoint over to their map and just party with them right away. One of the core fundamentals ideas that we wanted behind Guild Wars 2 is that you can play the game the way you want with your friends whenever you want, and it's very easy to just kind of mix and match and go in between the various zones and have that fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think one of the really exciting features of Guild Wars 2, because of that pillar of you should always be able to play with your friends, we actually use a system so when a higher level character goes back to a lower level part of the game basically reduces their level down to the area of the zone you're playing in. And this solves I think a traditional problem you run into with a lot of role-playing games where, I have a level 70 character and my friend starts playing the game. And my two options are wait for them to get to level 70, which, that's not a lot of fun, or I have to make a brand new character and abandon the character I love so I can play with him. Guild Wars 2 solves that by I can take my level 70 character, I can go play with Mike with his brand new character, and the game reduces me down to level 1. I'm still a little more powerful than other level 1 characters, but we can play together. I can get actual meaningful rewards that I care about from being level 70, and these waypoints that let you travel between each of the 5 starter cities of the 5 races we have also reduces one of those barriers to entry. So even if you're brand new to the game, if you have a friend who's playing, you guys can jump in and play together right off the bat, day one. You can download the game, and in 5 minutes, you're in there playing. It's a really cool feature, and one of the things I think that helps Guild Wars 2 stand apart.
And the other thing that really kind of brings players together is the dynamic event system. So as you're traversing through the world, we're going to be throwing at content you left and right, and it's just going to be very organic. It's just going to spawn up around you. Sometimes you'll find an NPC who's asking for help, or just the world will start having these adventures and take you on these journeys that you weren't really expecting. And because it is very open group based, everyone has their own loot. Everyone has their own experience they can get from each activity that they're doing. So us being in a party together is meaningful, but at the same time, we can be running around in these starter areas or these other zones with tens to hundreds of people just helping us overcome these challenges that just happen around us.
That's a lot. But it's okay. All right, so we've got 5 playable races, and it doesn't matter if your friend rolls something that you're not particularly interested in and you want to roll something else. Like Colin said, all of the starter cities for each race has a waypoint automatically unlocked. You can go right there, hang out with your friend. You don't have to wait. And I would like to, since I'm looking at you, since you brought it up, I want to go a little bit into the dynamic event system because there are so many things that branch out from that makes our community amazing and make our players really fun. The dynamic event system will pop up. You can kind of see on the map what's happening. So
basically, when we started Guild Wars 2, we looked at how traditional quest systems were in other MMOs. And it was usually started with an NPC who had an exclamation point above their head, a little bit of text. You go out in the world and complete some arbitrary objective for them. And we wanted to make the game actually react to player actions.
Not just cardboard cutout standing there with an exclamation point waiting for you.
So the NPCs are there as flavor. They give you lore. They help ground you into the story of what's happening around you. But you can see these villages that are actually being attacked, or there's bandits who will come and poison a well, and all the villagers in the nearby area are going to be, affected by this. And so adventurers like you and your allies and your friends are going to be going through and trying to help solve these problems. And all of this is happening dynamically, so that it's not like there's any downtime. It's just as soon as one thing's done, there's always something else going on. There's always new places to explore and kind of take your individual story in the world to the next level.
Yeah, and what this does, it encourages you to really pay attention as you're running through the world. You're not just going for the next objective you see on the map. Kind of watch and see what the NPCs are doing. Some of them, you'll see they'll run up to you and ask for help. you will see a mob running by, but they don't seem to have any interest in stopping and beating you up. Maybe they're on their way somewhere, and you might want to stop and go that way. Just take a break, see where they're going, see what's going on. And another thing that I love myself is when you get to the end of an event, hang out for a few seconds, because a lot of them chain off of one another. And if you run off, you're probably going to miss something really, really good.
Yeah, you really, I think one of the biggest suggestions that our player base often offers to new users is stop, take your time, and enjoy. And I think that's a really key part of the world of Guild Wars 2. I mean, there is no really traditional quest system in Guild Wars 2 like you would find in other RPGs. There isn't, like Mike said, you don't have that. I walk up to this character who tells me to go here, I do something, I come back and get my reward. Instead, the world really is this open world you explore and enjoy. And the content and the experience you have is entirely dependent on what you choose to do in the time that you have available to you. Go out and you can roam off into the corner of the world, and you might just suddenly run into content that's going on there that it could have been happening and you had no idea. It could be happening for other players. You find these massive hidden jumping puzzles tucked away in little hidden corners of our world, and mini dungeons, and so much content that this game is really about that joy of exploration, discovery, and feeling like you're living in a truly living, breathing world. And we really tried to encompass that in all the design decisions we made about Guild Wars 2. And it takes a little while. It takes a couple hours to wrap your head around a game world that is not built around go here, then go here, then go here. You really just go out and just have a great time and find amazing things to do. And once you accept that and can wrap your head around it, I think it's a more liberating experience. But it definitely, you have to go into it thinking that way.
Yeah, and like one of the things that we really want to do about this is every activity that you're doing, whether it's harvesting resource nodes, whether it's killing and hostile creatures, if it's going and even resurrecting your fallen allies,
Yes.
which is one of the things that we added was everybody has a res. Like if somebody is down, you can go and help them get back up and get into the encounter, because we didn't really want you to have kind of like you're waiting for a specific class or somebody to come along with that. So everything gives you experience, and with that idea of making it very prolific in terms of how you level, we put the level curve as very flat as well. So it's not a huge grind to get to level 80. We want the journey like to be an experience.
That's the game.
Yeah, like we want it to be the game, and this truly unique experience that players are going to entail as they go through it.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite Guild Wars 2 catchphrases is "the journey is the goal," and I think that really well encompasses the PvE side of our game, and describes. I think if you are enjoying Guild Wars 2 at its fullest, that is what you are doing. It's all about that journey and exploration.
Yeah. So you're not grinding for levels. You're running around. You're getting XP for everything, and those two things dovetail for me really nicely. We have so much attention to detail in our maps. I've seen players, even as recently as last week, say, I have 5,000 hours in this game. I've been playing literally for 5,000 plus hours, and I just saw something I've never seen before. I had no idea that was there. Players will share things that they find. They will just share little hidden things, items going on in the world. And there are veteran players who started with us at launch who have never seen that before and are excited to still find something new. You get XP for literally everything. You get XP for, I love it. You get XP for discovering new places, for looking at vistas, that's like you said, for rezzing your enemies.
Yep.
Don't ever do
allies.
that. That guy on the ground, if you can res him, do it, because you're going to get XP for it. So there's a lot you can do if you just, and don't, the rush to level 80 is not a thing. Just hang out, because there's a lot going on in every map.
And that's just the PvE side of things. There's two other massive game types that we have in the game. One is our competitive PvP, which is 5 versus 5. It's very structured, it's very organized. But the second you walk into the PvP lobby, we put you at the max level. We give you all the equipment accessible. Like, we want it to be a very even playing field, because we treat that competitive nature with a lot of respect. And we want, if you're winning those matches, we want you to feel like you are the best.
Yeah. I like that about PvP. It's not about who got there with the most gear, who got there first. If you start our game today, you're on a level playing field as far as gear with the people who've been playing since we started.
Yeah, I think PvP is one of the really exciting parts of our game. I mean, Guild Wars 2 really is, it's like 3 games in one. There's the PvE side of the game we talked a little about. There's PvP. We'll talk about our giant open world battles in World versus World in a minute.
Oh, yeah.
But I think PvP, one of the coolest things about having the game be free is you download it, and 5 minutes later, you are in-game, you press the PvP button, and you are in PvP with a max level character with full gear, and you are on an equal playing field with everyone else. And that's very hard to find in competitive games these days. It really is. There's a lot of, in traditional RPGs, you think of, I have to grind all my gear, then I can go play PvP. In competitive games, you have to work your way through unlocking all these different abilities or different heroes before you can actually be competitive. In Guild Wars 2, you just come in and play.
You push a button.
Yeah, and we've seen a really, really positive response to that. And with the game now being free, we've seen a massive number of people pouring into the game. We've seen some of the best login numbers and gameplay hours we've had in a long, long time. And PvP in particular actually has had, this last week, I believe that we will have the best login numbers we've ever had in the history of Guild Wars 2 of folks playing PvP. And the growth of that is just tremendous, of where that can take us. In the last year, we've had 3 World Tournament Series championships. Across the world, we had one in Beijing, we've had one in Cologne in Germany, and we've had one in Boston here in the States, where top teams from the world qualify and get to play in these championships for real cash. And that's going to grow to be even bigger in the future. We'll talk about that someday down the road. We have a new feature coming with our expansion, PvP competitive leagues, for players of all skill to compete in leagues and fight their way up and prove who is the best. There's so much stuff going on in competitive PvP right now. And you can jump in there all by yourself and have a great time. You can form up teams and play with your friends. It's a really awesome game mode for people who just love competitive games.
Yeah, the opportunities in the PvP side are amazing. From somebody who's just now starting out, I've only been doing the PvP side of the game for about a year now. I was like hardcore heavy PvE only since launch. I'm sorry. And the PvP side I have found really fun, just getting my feet wet for the past year. You can go all the way to the top, but even if you're just starting out, it's an amazing ride. It's so much fun. Yeah. So what about those open world battles?
Yes.
I'm looking right at you. You're on the spot now.
Our third game mode is World versus World. And World versus World is kind of what you would think if you hear World versus World. It is multiple game worlds fighting against each other in giant epic open world PvP. This is hundreds of players playing in maps where it's huge castle sieges, battles for castles and towers, managing supply lines that carry supply between these key locations, building siege weapons like trebuchets and rams so you can knock down doors, and fighting your way into these different castles and keeps to control them. It's 3 different worlds fighting against each other at the same time. A battle lasts an entire week. And at the end of the week, a winner is crowned, and then your world is rematched, and you face against new worlds again for another week. It's a mix of these giant castle battles and sieges, and also giant open world battles as well, where you have huge armies of 40, 50, 80 players that are running into another army of players that large, and they have these giant epic battles out in the open world. It's really unlike anything that you're going to find in pretty much any other game out there. It's one of the uniquely Guild Wars 2 experiences. And the idea that you can have hundreds of players on a screen fighting all at the same time, it's just epic. Like you have to see it to believe it. It's something that is very uniquely Guild Wars 2, I think, and it's just an amazing experience in our game.
Standing in a keep and watching this enormous enemy army come over the hill in the distance is an experience. And you're kind of looking around going, all right, how many guys do I have? Am I going to be okay?
Guys? Anyone help?
Anybody? Yeah, where are you?
But don't underestimate what a small group can do in World versus World as well. Like there's a lot of tactics in terms of how you can go and take those supply camps that Colin was talking about, denying the Doliacs or bringing supply to the larger castles and the towers and keeps, because there's a lot of strategy that you can do on the small scale that will affect the larger gameplay. And
I've had a ton of fun running Havoc groups with my guild.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think at the highest tiers of competition for World versus World, on kind of the top tier worlds, it feels a little bit like you're playing as a troop inside of an RTS game.
Yep.
And you think of, you control the army and you move them all around. You are one of those individual troops, except you can truly make a difference, and you can spin off and go make strategic decisions that could change the course of the battle for your entire world. And I think there's something really awesome about that. There are commanders in World versus World.
Yeah.
They have a little tag, a little chevron that you'll see on the map all the time. Somebody is standing off stage waving one at us right now. Hello, Commander. And you can follow these commanders. So even if you don't really know what you're doing in World versus World, when you first load in, you look for these commander tags and you join up with an army. And it's a safe place to learn this game mode, to be protected by other players, to get to take part in these huge battles. And as you learn and get better and better, then you start splitting off and making smaller squads and running Havoc squads, scouting, and taking on more complicated roles in World versus World.
Yeah, those first couple Havoc runs, I was mostly just easy prey. So that protection of the Zerg is kind of an important thing there at the beginning.
This kind of goes back to a larger point, but one of the amazing things about Guild Wars 2 is the community. And so for any of these game modes that we've been talking about, like just the players are just wonderful. They're very welcoming. When we went free, we saw all these veteran players who were basically lining up in the starter zones for these brand new players that were coming in, and we're basically taking them under the wing and showing them, hey, look, here's how you can enjoy the game. Here's some cool, equipment to get you started in your journey. And these guys are just phenomenal. I'm just impressed every single time I log into the game, just with the unique opportunities, the unique things that they're doing, and how they're actually being so awesome for us and for each other.
Yeah, I think, in particular with the game going free a few weeks ago, I think when you think about games that have a free experience, one of the first things that you worry about is, what kind of community is this game going to have? Is it going to be a really toxic community? Is it going to be the type of community that, you traditionally you think of with a lot of free games? And we've been really proud of the community that we had before the game went free, and I think maybe even more proud today of the community that we've had since.
I absolutely am.
That idea of like all of our existing players lining up at the entrance to the game, and they were literally saying the name of each player as they arrived in the world, and then cheering for them and making them feel welcome, and taking them under their wing and leading them out into the world. I don't know of any other game that you're going to see that, like a community that's that welcoming, and we've watched the community bring these people in and make them feel welcome. And I think it really is a huge part of what Guild Wars 2 is all about. Going back to when you were talking about the design decisions that we made with the game of everyone can res. It's because we want every time you see another player in the game, it should feel like the game can be more fun and they can help you. We have combo fields, so one player can put down a firewall and another player can shoot arrows through it and their arrows catch on fire. So another player being around can make the game more fun for you. There is no kill stealing. Everybody who's killing a mob gets credit for it when it dies and can get loot from it. Everybody gets XP. And I think those decisions they're very small in the grand scheme of things. You don't really think about them, but they dramatically shift the way that you view other players in the game.
They
and it
add
helps
something
enable this
huge.
community. It really makes it so when you see another player, it is more fun. It makes it more exciting. And I think now, even with the game has grown massively in the last 2 weeks from going free. Like I'm unfortunately not allowed to say numbers right now. I can only say that we have had an amazing response and continue to. Every day that goes by, our game is growing by leaps and bounds right now.
And the game itself recognizes that too. So like as more and more players come to like one of these dynamic events that we were talking about earlier, like it'll start to scale up. The number of creatures that show up, the harder creatures will show up, because we actually want to start bringing, we don't want to just be a cakewalk when 30 people show up and try and take on some of these events.
Right.
So we actually want to give you a challenge for what you're trying to accomplish. And so the game recognizes that, but at the same time, like Colin says, we want you always to be excited when you see somebody else, because you're going to make a new friend. You're going to find something new in the world. You're going to discover something you didn't see before, or you're going to be able to overcome some challenges, whether it's a difficult creature, a difficult event that you couldn't do by yourself before.
Right, and what this leads to is something that I always really enjoy seeing. If you're standing in a map in Guild Wars 2, if you're keeping an eye on map chat, if something big is about to happen where the loot is good, or it's going to be a lot of fun, or there's something to go for, people will start announcing it in map chat and pinging the waypoint to get to, so more people can get there. And the person doing that isn't personally benefiting, they're just doing it because this is how our community works, in large part thanks to how the game has been built from the ground up. You will see if there's anything good in the map, people will be actively trying to get more players in. It's a great thing to see. And you were talking about the day we went play for free. I was working at PAX that day. So I couldn't really log in and play because it would have been in poor form to take over one of those consoles. But I sat there watching. We had the game up on some consoles where I was, and the crowds of veteran players that just dropped everything they were doing, every goal they were after, and stood there at the entrance. Like you said, there was one player who had rolled a new character, and that character name was Welcome Everyone. And she was just standing there. So if you're watching, thank you. I got an enormous kick out of watching you just stand there and talk to people. People were sending gifts to players as they came in and putting up buffs that were active for everybody in the world. You just run up and touch them and you get something good from them. It was fantastic. That went on for hours. It just went on for the entire day and kept going on for days afterwards.
I mean, even now, the new player zones are just packed as more and more people continue to log in every day. And it's an awesome time to get in and play Guild Wars 2 because of that. You're always going to have people in any map that you're playing in right now. The world is just full, just jam-packed. And that means you're going to be playing with tons of other players. And there's still, every day, tons of our pro existing veterans who are going back and just looking for new players to guide and help.
And this is really just the beginning, right? Because
Yeah, it's been a month.
yeah. On top of that, like since we launched the game, we've done over 40 major updates with new content, new features, and things like that. And this is just our dedication to the game, and we want to make sure that all players that are coming in have equal opportunity to these things, and it can really just enjoy the world as we expand it, as we tell these new stories, and as we give new tools for players to overcome these challenges. So, like, this is our like I said, this is our dedication. This is what we want to do moving forward. So, by getting into the game now, like all you're getting access to is what we've done, and also every major update that we're going to do moving forward, because this is just our strategy.
Yeah, I think that what is the live experience like in Guild Wars 2? I think it's a really interesting thing for new players to know about as well.
In the best way.
Yes, in a really great way. I mean, we've had, like Mike said, we've had over 40 major content updates. It's smaller updates. It's hundreds of smaller updates to the game since we went live. And all of that, I think one of the greatest things is not only is the game now free, there's no monthly fee. You just get all of that for playing Guild Wars 2. And after our expansion ships, as long as you own the expansion, you're going to get all of these updates that come after it as well. We do a lot of cool stuff. We have holiday festivals that we run every year that are a mix of really fun and exciting stuff.
I'm really looking forward to the next one.
We have Halloween coming up very shortly with the launch of our first expansion. Our first holiday festival will be available for all players as well. Everyone playing for free will be able to just jump right in and take part in Holiday, which is a huge tradition for Guild Wars fans, and is actually the very first holiday in the history of the Guild Wars franchise. So it's great to see that coming back. We do a lot of great holidays. We do feature updates where we add new features to the game and quality of life content all the time. We do Living World, which is a strategy of basically expanding the storyline and the playable content in the PvE side of our game for our players. Mike, do you want to talk a little bit about Living World as one of the people who helped make that happen?
Yeah, one of our major goals was just trying to build out the story, but at the same time adding new, like we were talking about, new challenges, new events, new things for players to overcome. And over the course of Season 2, we added 2 brand new maps, Dry Top and the Silver Wastes. And in the Silver Waste, we basically took kind of the world versus world experience, those kind of big mashups, and we brought it to the PvE environment. So you started escorting these Doliacs between these camps as Mordramoth and his minions were starting to come in and cause problems. And try and overrun these defensive fortifications.
That feels like such an understatement, as enthusiastic as Mordramoth's minions have been.
That's true, yes. But like ultimately, what we wanted to do is like we were continuing the storyline and adding these new things that players just got for free. It was these new experiences, and obviously with this comes with new rewards. We've done new open world bosses, and kind of every time we're doing this, we're raising the bar in terms of what we're able to release. And what we expect out of our players in order to overcome.
Yeah, it just keeps getting better and better. Something I wanted to mention, we talked a lot about how great our community is. Our players do a lot of events in-game that they just take it upon themselves to do things and make it a better community. We have a series of musical instruments in the game, and you guys know exactly what I'm going to say. Our players have figured out so many different, like popular music, different game themes, and they will just hold concerts. If you're hanging out in one of the towns and maybe crafting, you can usually find a concert going on, or players helping each other and banding together. People who have never met before, this is how they're getting to know each other in game, is by, hey, I have this instrument, I have this one, let's put them together and see what we come up with, and everybody enjoys it so much.
Yeah, there's some amazing YouTube videos out there of players making music in Guild Wars 2 using all the different instruments that are available in the game.
Yeah, it is so much fun. So, and that's just one of them. There are trivia contests in Divinity's Reach on a regular basis. I don't know, have you guys ever gone to those?
I'm not very good at them.
Well, I didn't say, are you good?
Oh, but they're
know if
total
you've tried.
fun.
That doesn't bode well for Mike doing trivia over the course of the next 2 days.
I am really looking forward to this. We're sorry.
It'll be fun.
They round up prizes, they round up all of the equipment needed to do this, and just do it for no other reason than to make some fun for the community.
Yeah, even guilds, which is another one of the great features in Guild. The game is called Guild Wars, so we have guilds. And guilds are basically big groups of players that form together into communities, and they have shared goals, and they have missions that they can run together. Very shortly, with the release of our expansion, they'll have entire maps that they can own and build out and progress and decorate. with guild halls, and we'll actually be sharing some more info next week about that, I think.
A little bit.
A little bit. But these guilds are awesome community-driven experience as well. You know, people do the things out in the cities for everyone, but a lot of guilds, if you can find a great guild to join, they host all that stuff as well. I'm in a guild that does really awesome trivia contests for prizes. We run guild missions together. Really fun group of folks. Shout out to Gaff. What's up, buddies?
Thank you, Gaff.
Yeah.
To kind of expand on the idea of the guild missions, like this was a system that we built that allowed us to take more challenging giant events and let the guilds kind of come together, and they can kick these off whenever they want. So this is like, it's player controlled content in the world, and it's not exclusive to the guilds. When they kick it off in these maps, like anybody who's around can come help and participate in these events and help them and earn their own rewards. And this is just one of those things where guilds are the social backbone for Guild Wars 2, and we wanted to help them support kind of what's going on in the rest of the world as well.
Yeah, one of my favorite things in Guild Wars 2 has been running guild missions with one of my guilds, and the great thing that I love about that is that this is for your guild, the guild is doing it, and you know, they're puzzles, mazes, obstacle courses, that sort of thing, but they're open to everybody else in the world, so if a guild happens to be running it, they'll let people know in the map, hey, come get some of these goodies, and once we finish, and I've seen other guilds doing this too, once we finish up, we'll start escorting everybody else through there and make sure they get through without being completely murdered by whatever's lurking in these caves. And again, it's not benefiting the guild. I mean, they got theirs. They got all of their rewards. They got it completed. But this is running for another 15 minutes. Why don't we go ahead and see if we can give it to somebody else?
And ultimately, all of this we just talked about, no monthly fee. So there's no reason not to at least come try out the game and see everything we've just been talking about and how excited the community is for all this.
Yep. Core game is totally free. You should really come play with us. You'd like it.
And for those of you who are really learning about Guild Wars 2 right now, you have a great opportunity over the next 2 days to see a lot of content that we're going to be working on and adding to the game with our first expansion, Heart of Thorns, which is due out in just about a month right now.
Oh,
later,
boy.
Yeah.
You okay?
Later today, we'll be premiering the launch trailer. A little before launch, we'll be premiering the launch trailer for Heart of Thorns. We got a lot of really exciting stuff coming up over the next 2 days of programming. We can learn a lot more about the expansion that we're delivering. For those of you who are fans of the ranger profession, we have the reveal of the elite specialization, the Druid. The one that we told you about first and are now giving you the details about last.
Jeez, Colin.
Yeah, that was a real tease. It was fun.
It's going to be good. It will be worth the wait, you guys, I promise.
Well, hopefully we've at least got some of you guys excited about this. Hopefully you'll come join us in the game, because we're really, we do this for you guys. It's all about the fans. So thanks for tuning in and watching with us.
You guys are absolutely making it worth it. So, all right, I'm going to put you guys on the spot with one more question. What's your favorite part of Guild Wars 2? You can pick a map if you want to. I'll narrow it down for you some.
I think this is the cop-out answer, but
Nope.
no cop-outs? Okay, I'll skip that one. My favorite part of Guild Wars 2 is, I think, the ability now. My answer would have been different a month ago, but I think the fact that you can walk in and play it completely for free. I don't know any other game that offers a free experience like Guild Wars 2, and I think the response to it has been amazing because of that. And that to me, like, to have an entire epic game with 3 game modes and thousands of hours of gameplay be 100% free, that blows my mind, and that's my favorite thing today about what Guild Wars 2 is.
Awesome.
My favorite thing is every time I log in, I have a goal, but that goal never actually happens because I get sidetracked by all the other amazing things that are going on.
Yeah, I have a lot of things that I've tried to do that haven't quite happened yet, so there's just too much to do. So you guys come do these things with us. It'll be a good time. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks. We enjoyed the first ever episode of Guildcast.
First
We
Guild-
did it.
First Guild Chat. Thank
Guild
you, guys.
Chat.